everybody and welcome back. So, you wanna say hello too? So, last time I uploaded a Q&A video, and when I edited it I saw that it was so long, so it was almost half an hour, and I decided to cut it into 2 pieces, to divide it into 2 parts. So, if you haven't watched part 1, I will link the video in the description box. And so, now enjoy the part 2 of the Q&A video. So, next question. Permaculture Love was asking, what is your favorite place in nature? So there's not the one favorite place, but there are some kind of places which I really love and where I love and appreciate to spend time. Number 1, the forest. I love trees and forests. The good thing is that we have quite a lot of forest around this area. So if I go for a walk, I can be in the next forest in about 5 minutes. In the forest I feel peaceful and alive. The green, the fresh air, the good smell of the trees and the earth, and the sounds of the birds, and the wind rustling through the leaves. All of this gives me a feeling of peace and harmony and grounds my soul. Number 2, mountains and hills. I also love mountains a lot. We don't have very high mountains in this area where I live, but we have some smaller ones and many hills, which are beautiful too. Number 3, lakes and rivers. I love water, and since we are living quite far away from the sea, I can help myself by driving to some lakes sometimes, or even big rivers. Number 4, castles and fortresses. Everybody who follows me on Instagram will probably have seen already that I love castles. And especially these little hidden ones in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by wild nature, is exactly what I love. In Germany we have so many of these places. It's not a lie when I say that almost every city and even many little villages have their own little or bigger castle or fortress. So, Helena waking up. Okay, little break. So, next question. Magato8 asked, can you see spirits of nature? Interesting and beautiful question. Thank you for it. So I believe there are all different kind of spirits and energies everywhere, and we are actually living amongst them in many cases without even knowing it, because our senses got numbed over the time of modern civilization. I think when people were living much closer to nature and still feel themselves as a part of it, they were much more sensitive in general and could at least feel and in some cases maybe even see some spirits. That's probably why there are so many stories and fairy tales. That's where the name comes from, fairy tales, from fairies. There are existing stories about dwarfs and giants and dragons and much more. And I believe when there are so many different stories from all across the world about the same thing or similar things, then there's definitely something true in it. However, I personally haven't seen a nature spirit yet, but I would say I can feel them sometimes when I'm at beautiful places in the nature. I also talk to my guardian angel sometimes, and in certain moments I also can feel his presence quite clearly. And last but not least, I'm trying to connect with the Great Spirit, also called God, as often as possible. But I'll talk about that more later when I'll answer another question. So let's continue with the questions of my friend Susan, alias actually my name is Susan. I would like to know how you and your family deal with this situation. How do you raise your kids? Which advices do you give your kids? And do you have any family rituals? Thank you, Susan, for these beautiful questions, and greetings out to you as well. So, how are we dealing with this situation? I don't know exactly what situation you mean. If you mean like the global one according to the big C, or our personal one regarding our patchwork family. But I guess I'll just answer both quickly. So regarding Corona, we just try to stay as positive and relaxed as possible, and we don't really think and talk a lot about this topic because I personally believe that trusting in life is much better than fear. And yeah, I also want to give my children the chance to grow up free from sorrows, and I really don't want to traumatize them with fear and with a fear of getting sick and things like this. I think that's kind of crazy. I believe a healthy lifestyle which promotes a strong immune system is much more important than social distancing, masks, and even vaccines. But as I said, in our family, this is not a big topic. We prefer to choose trust over fear and continue to live our lives in peace and harmony. And when it comes to our family situation, as most of you probably might know, I've been a single mom for quite some time and just married last year. So I had 3 children from the relationship before that was very toxic and very on-off, and I was basically a single mom quite from the beginning, so to say, because we never lived together. But yeah, that's another story that is behind me, thank God. So this has definitely been a big step for all of us, as well for me as for Fabio, of course, but also the children. And I was taking this very serious. I'm not the kind of woman who was like playing around and trying out things. I was really waiting, and I didn't mind to be single mom too. Of course, it was a lot of work and a lot of responsibility and things, and I was feeling overwhelmed at times. But I'm not the kind of person who's like feeling completely lost and alone, you know, when I'm alone. It's not like that. Anyway, there surely have been some doubts and worries at the beginning, and there have been quite some struggles on the way. as some of you might read a bit about in my blog as well, especially with these corona restrictions, and Fabio, who lived in Brazil back then, and so for some time we just could have a far distance relationship, but at the end everything turned out well, and now Fabio is here, we are married, the children love him very much, they adapted very well. And then the next question was, how do you raise your kids? Which advice do you give them? And do you have family rituals? Well, that's quite a lot for now, and since the vlog already got quite long, I guess, I think it's better to maybe make one complete video about this. Maybe like a day in our life, like what we do in a day or something like this, because I think it would be too much for this video now. But again, guys, if you would like to see a video like this, write in the comments, and yeah, we'll consider that for the next or one of the next videos. So let's get to the last questions of my friend Sylvia, alias Live via Sylvia. She wrote, what is your favorite folktale or legend or old story, if you have one? What are your intentions for this year? How do you pray or get in touch with your highest self? Can you share synchronicities in your past or present where you just knew the divine was organizing life or miracles for you? Love to you. Thank you so much for this beautiful, wonderful, spiritual questions. So let's start with a favorite folk tale or legend. So I love old stories, fairy tales, legends, and things like this. And since my early childhood, I've spent hours looking through fairy tale books in the house of my parents when I still was a kid, or listening to cassettes. It was like these kind of tapes back then with fairy tales, or read them myself when I was old enough to read. So it was mainly all that folk tales of the Brothers Grimm, the fairy tales of the Danish author and poet Hans Christian Andersen, as well as Wilhelm Hauff's Märchen fairy tales, and many others as well, like the Oriental tales of 1001 Nights. And I just love folk tales, fairy tales, and these traditional stories. And I love to get to know new ones too, like from different cultures. I think it just expresses so much about that culture, and I love that there's always, or in most of the cases, in most of the stories, there's some deep wisdom in it, some morals, or something to learn from it. So that's really beautiful, and it doesn't come like this kind of, teaching, but then it's like you have the story and you can just pick from it what you want, and you're also just able to understand what you're able to understand. So it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful way to put some wisdom in a beautiful kind of package and give it to somebody. One of my absolute favorite fairy tales when I was a young girl was The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. I loved that fairy tale, and I could probably tell it by heart back then. But nowadays I couldn't really say that there's the one favorite. I just love all of them. So the next question about my intentions for the year have already been answered earlier in this video. And then, how do you pray and get in touch with your higher self? Beautiful question. I love to pray and to meditate, and I'm probably praying every day, at least for some moments in the morning and in the evenings, as well as before eating a meal with my family. And how I pray can be quite different depending on the situation. When I have a lot of time, I really can take that time to sit down and contemplate. And sometimes I need to take that time when I feel that it's too much. But sometimes, like during the daily life, it's just so much to do, and it can be just one little, prayer, like some words or some feeling, like some little prayer sending up to God. And I also used to just talk to God like to a good friend, tell him all my worries and sorrows if I have, telling him my wishes, my needs, and everything I'm thankful for too. And I just love to have that inner conversation kind of with God, and it really makes me feel comfortable and have trust in life, and to have this roots and this anchor within me that is gives me stability, and that is much stronger than anything else out there in this sometimes crazy world. And I also love meditating. If I'm meditating, well, there are sure all kind of different techniques and how you can meditate, but meditation basically means to find your midst, your center, to center yourself and to calm down yourself, to calm your mind, your thoughts. And so I really love the Vipassana meditation, which I was learning in India. I've been to India for almost half a year back in 2006. And I've been attending a Vipassana course. It was a 10-day retreat where you had to sit in silence, like you were not allowed to talk to anybody, you were not allowed to read, you had to give all your books or phone and everything at the beginning, and the things were locked, and at the end of the course you would get them back. So anything that would distract your mind was not allowed in that time. So you really had to deal with your own mind, with your thoughts, and that was quite difficult, as you can imagine, in the first days. But it got better and better, and it was one beautiful, amazing, mind-blowing experience for me. How much you can find in the depth of the layers of the consciousness of the mind. It's really amazing. And although it's Buddhistic, the Vipassana meditation is the meditation that Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, was with which he reached enlightenment and that he was teaching for the rest of his life. And it's said that this is the purest form of this meditation, like the most original form of it that was preserved in Burma actually, and then found his way back to India and now to all over the world. You can find Vipassana centers probably in almost every country on the world. It's completely a donation-based organization, so no matter how much money you have, it's possible for everybody to attend this course. So although I'm not 100% aligned with the philosophy of Buddhism, I really find a lot of beauty and strength and power in this course. Therefore, I highly can recommend it to anybody who has the chance to go away for about 11 days to do it. I will link the German Vipassana Center in the description box, and maybe there's some international one too. I think I need to check out. I'll link that one too. But otherwise, you can just Google it in your own area and try find out if there's a Vipassana Center in your country or maybe even in your city. And yeah, do that. It's really, really good for you. It's like doing something for your mental health and for your soul sanity. I don't know how to say it, but it's very good. So yes, there are other ways, of course, to connect with God, and I love singing, for example, too. I think this is, yes, this, I forgot. It's a very, very, very beautiful way of like praying. It's a kind of praying in singing form, in music form, to sing worship songs. I love it very much. And the very last question was, can you share synchronicities in your past or present where you knew the divine was organizing miracles or your life for you? Yes, definitely I can. I have experienced a lot of these synchronicities and this kind of flow in your life where like everything is kind of magically appearing and working well and flowing. And I have experienced some miracles even too in my life, but I also think to share these experience, it would be just too much for this video as it's already so long. So I would suggest to also make another video about it, and maybe I will make a how do you call it, poll? Yes, I guess I will make an opinion poll, I don't know if I pronounce it right, about what kind of videos you would like me to do next. And I would say that's it for today. If you're still watching, thank you so much for watching until the end. And I hope you enjoyed. For me, it was very much fun to spend some time with you and answer some of your questions. Thank you so much again for these beautiful questions. And yeah, I would say take care, everybody, and see you the next time. Bye bye.